Hey, Niels here. I'm at the Ballyfermot College of Further Education in Dublin, where they teach media, they teach... Well, you know what? Let's just ask the man who runs the whole shop. Really, this is Bernard Evans. Hello, Bernard.
I don't run the whole shop, I just run the radio part of it.
But to me, that's the whole shop.
Radio course, otherwise I'll have other people give it out to me.
To me,
but
that's the whole
it's a
shop.
radio part anyway.
Yeah. And this place has been going for how long?
It's been going one way or the other, I'd say about 30 years now.
30 years.
And it kind of initially started off as a kind of a secondary school, and then it gradually moved its way into kind of like a higher national diplomas, and eventually moved its way towards effectively now what's a media performance rock school, that kind of thing, so all of those kind of things. So performance, I suppose, would be a very broad term, with radio being a big part of it.
Right, and I was lucky enough today to spend a lot of time with the students in here, thanks to Bernard. And I was curious when I was talking to the students earlier on, because you say 30 years, I mean, the amount of people who've gone through here, what kind of jobs have people gone on to careers-wise? I mean, I know personally a lot of people who've come to college here, but they've gone on to do what? Everything?
They've gone on to do everything, and there's... for 5 seconds, I'd say the long hauls we used to have to do, the 20 miles on a bike to go up to some part of the mountain, that's gone. We've had the current wave of ex-students tend to take on people very quickly. So we have students who are basically walking into pretty large radio stations and going on air or being involved at very active levels. So they're very much in at the deep end, and they're avoiding all the fun but nonsense we might have had to do. And so that gives them a kind of, it's like a starter pistol has gone off before the rest, as it were.
Yeah.
Today, going back to the classes that would have kicked in 20 years ago, we have a lot of the industry has been run by ex-Ballyfermot College radio students.
Right.
At the most senior level. They're in there, and in one or two cases are effectively owners and things like that. So, but yeah, from owners to chief execs to PDs, all the way down.
You must have a massive Rolodex. Rolodex, the old school thing. He knows
On
everything.
the analog phone,
that's right.
with the pulse tone.
I know everybody. But I keep my Rolodex. It's here somewhere.
Yeah, it is. It's very good, and hopefully over the last years we've tried to create a pretty warm feeling, and there's a good network.
See yourself again. Look, his phone's
That's
gone.
exactly what
so
that is. Too. And we keep it a little bit informal. It's a bit of a low.
Yeah, I noticed that. It's nice. But that gets you used to the environment when you go into media, because it is kind of informal as well, even though it's a business. When you go into the real world, still it is you're picking up that energy from here as well and bringing it to these radio stations or TV stations or whatever.
And I think any of us who were in radio never did very well in school.
So speak for yourself.
It meant that we never had a good relationship with school teachers. So the fact that some of us radio teachers today are like our teachers kind of shocks us a bit. But the other thing as well is, like, if we to keep the relationship with the students after the college, that they will come back and do guest talks and all that kind of stuff. It's great, because then they take people on. So that's, I suppose, the culture we've developed. And again, the vast majority.
And are you finding the people that were college students here, and as you say, went into places of power and positions of power, are hiring or are happy to hire people from here because there's that connection? I'm not saying that giving them preferential, but if somebody comes from BCFE into a job interview, there's that connection. Oh, we went to the same school kind of thing.
It does, and because it's small classes and stuff like that, it allows people to feel that they have a family connection.
Yeah.
And whether they mention myself or Simon or some of the other teachers, they've got that one connection. It almost kind of makes them part of a family. They all spent the same time, and they've all kind of got the same stories to tell. And because of things we run like networking nights, which one we have now coming up. I'm off to arrange tonight, actually. But we would have students who are just coming in the door, meeting the students who are here 1 year here, 2 years, 3 years here, and the students who've just left over 2 years. So one way or the other, they're always meeting and they're always networking, and we have various networking events for that, which is crucial. And again, to answer your question, we do we do have people from other colleges have come here and kind of like being a little bit upset at the fact that we have so many inns in different places, so, which is good for us.
Yeah, and now kids now, I call them kids. Look at me, like old man Mahoney.
With a backwards Z.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah, kids with backwards Z. It's not just radio anymore. It's just online media. It's online social content. Everything. Is that what their internet? Is that what's? Do they see the difference between the two or three of those things?
I'll tell you one of my favourite anecdotal stories. And
Do that while I have a sip of coffee.
Excellent. And I promised I wouldn't mention names.
Yeah. Yeah, you did say you wouldn't mention any names because there's too many of them.
Yeah, there's too many.
We'll be here all day.
But you know, there comes that kind of like jump in the shark moment, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
Where I had one student who, again, they're on air. Like this year, we had 5 students who are in Radio 2 or on air on Spin 103.8.
Right.
So that's really good, and not them in 4FM. But I had one student who's a pretty big name in one of the radio stations that had ended in FM, we'll say. And he asked me one day in class on a 5-day week gig, what's FM? And I thought it was a joke. And we'd been aware that there was a culture. So that led us to asking the question, how many people actually have radios? Of which people only had radios in the car. Now, we knew all this, and we had been doing internet broadcasts since 1997, so we'd been way ahead of all this stuff. But it actually, what we started doing was bringing into the budget, buying people AM, FM, shortwave, longwave radios.
So they could listen to
FM,
radio.
just so as they could tune up and down. And honestly, it was like caveman that an airplane had dropped into. They were tuning up and down going, this is mad, this is crazy. They were that much into that, and we brought that culture into them. But again, there was a day, particularly when all the smartphones kicked in, that when we'd asked them at the start of the year, what do you listen to? It went from all the obvious radio stations. Suddenly they were saying, no, you know, I listen to, you know, and it would be 2CA Canberra and blah, 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 and blah, blah, and of course podcasts or whatever. And you knew at that stage that radio probably needed to get very local and started doing something, because, you know, very few local radio stations were being mentioned. And how they tended to get into them was when they'd be in cars and their parents were listening to stations they were getting in. So but that was it. Now, we didn't cut off the whole new culture. In fact, we very much encouraged it, and it's where we push it into. But it's having their feet in both camps is the thing.
Feet in both camps, that's the thing. Why didn't I talk to this man 30 years ago? Save myself a lot of time. Bernard, thanks a million.